gosh. Okay. I guess now that we know kind of a bit about who you are, now let's talk about where you are at this point in time. There are a number of statistics that I can do. First off, Parkinson's disease is the second leading disease in the United States, next to Alzheimer's. Currently no cure. Very sad to say. Apparently, men are more likely to be diagnosed with Parkinson's than women are. An approximate age of 60 is what they state is the norm. And 10 million globally right now, 90,000 diagnosed a year. Those are big numbers and those are serious things to say. So let me start off by first asking, what point was there for one of you or both of you where you started to suspect that Thaddeus had Parkinson's disease?
I had a friend, stomach, and have a friend with stomach, and also when I walk,
He had a friend that saw his hand shaking. We hadn't known each other yet, so he had it before we met.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
I was a handshake, it was walking down the street, my best friend at that time. And said there's something wrong with the walk.
Yeah, a friend of his noticed that he was walking in a different way. There was something wrong with his walk. And that's how, and then of course he, went to the doctors and he was diagnosed.
Okay, I've got you.
Yeah.
I've been told that neurologists will do different types of testing to detect Parkinson's. For you, what did you have to go through to get an official diagnosis?
It was open. And
Hand movements going like this. Yeah.
That's what Steve told me was 2 different neurologists.
He had 2 different neurologists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but they told you different, they pretty much told you the same things, right?
And his wife for the brain.
Oh yeah, and then he had eventually when it was already he had had the disease for almost 20 years, then they found that he was eligible for having what they call DBS, deep brain stimulation surgery. And
Okay.
that is that's when I knew when I was in it for the long haul for this relationship, because when he was being prepped for the surgery, first of all, it's a 9-hour surgery and he has to be awake the whole time.
Oh
So he can
my.
hear the doctors talking over them because they have to test movement while he's lying there. They attach a wire to his brain, which goes down his neck into an embedded battery pack in his chest. And now it doesn't get rid of Parkinson's, but it slows it down where he can do things that he couldn't do prior, like buttoning a button. Or he couldn't do that when we first met. Now he can do things like that. There's a more freezing in his legs, but it just slows the symptoms down and he can do more things. But it's a very long surgery. The aftermath takes about 2 months of recuperation. His face swelled up he looked like Mr. Magoo, afterwards because of, I guess, the pressure on the body and everything during the surgery. But then the swelling went down and everything. But it was a very, very, very long process. And I was at the hospital every day, which then that was when I said, and we had already been together for about maybe 5 years.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm in it now. I mean, I can't leave him alone because I know he was frightened, the doctors and the nurses, and sleeping in rooms with other patients that had their issues, and I could not leave him alone during all of that. So but the deep brain, and he has to get the battery changed like every 5 years.
Oh, okay. I've got you. And when was the last time this was done? How long ago?
He got the battery changed about 2.5 years ago. And this
Okay.
is like the third battery? Yeah, this is the third battery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the
Yeah.
norm every 5 years then.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I guess I'd like to ask Thaddeus, when you discovered your diagnosis, how did you learn to cope with that at first? when you first knew?
Cried,
You cried.
staying with my mother. And,
He was staying with his mother at the time.
so how do we come absorb bad,
Sorry,
absorb
what?
bad news?
Well, he was just trying to just cope with just the bad news. But didn't you drank some too, just to kind of not heavy drinking, but didn't you just to kind of I thought I heard you say something like that once. No? Okay. But that's how he handled it.
I'm impressed actually, because I would think most of us, easily go off the deep end, go on a bender and start drinking heavily or start using drugs or start isolating from people. That's so impressive. Not that crying is a good thing, but obviously this is very devastating news, of course. Um, in some of the research that I did, I've noticed that there is, so I'm told, things such as stress or infections or poor sleep or less activity can all be aggravators for Parkinson's. In your case, is that true? Do you notice that these things make things more unmanageable, these factors?
Yes, participation in sports are difficult. Um,
He's always been a very active person, went to the gym 4 times a week and all that stuff.
Wow.
Loved the outdoors. Um, Complete opposite of me. But so to go from that to not being able to, I mean, he has physical therapy and all that, but it's not as often as he wants it to be. And
Okay.
he's always been an active person, sports and bike riding and all that. And he it's just obviously it's just hard for him to do that now.
Absolutely. Now, Robert, you mentioned when you first met him, you knew he had Parkinson's disease. You learned of this. Um, why didn't you go? Did you understand the complications and complexities of this?
Well, we had just met, and uh, I thought, okay, I wasn't thinking relationship or anything. I thought, okay, I meet this hot guy in a bar and we're dating a little bit.
Aw.
And that was pretty much. I wasn't thinking, oh, we're gonna be together for. I wasn't thinking that.
Sure.
And then when he told me that, I'm like, okay. Um, I didn't think to leave. I just thought because the way he said it in such a as a matter of fact way, as if he said, "Oh, well, I have a head cold." You know what I mean? It sounded just so. So I'm like, okay. And as we started dating more, I noticed little things. But back then, 20 years ago, he didn't have a cane. He definitely didn't have a wheelchair.
Sure.
Sometimes I couldn't keep up with him as far as walking down the street,
Wow.
you know. But then, of course, things began to change.
Yes.
He's always had a soft voice. It's just softer now.
Right.
Um, but it so I didn't turn and walk away. Um, since then, there have been times being a caregiver when I say, "That's it. I'm tired of." But again, he depends on me for everything, and it's like if I leave it's done. No one's gonna step in and not even do half of what I do for him. No one, not a
I get
family
you.
member, not an old friend, or they can't because we are on such a I I run such a tight ship, and you know it's like these things. He's used to that. He depends on that. He wants it
Yes,
like that, and if it goes off the track, the whole thing is screwed. And no one will be able to fix it back to the way what he's used to. No one.
I get it. I get you. This is a point worth mentioning because I know when my husband was going through cancer, I had said this, and it's important to note this. To me, he was the most attractive, most beautiful person, even with no hair and no weight gain and just himself. So I have to ask, is the hot guy still hot now?
Yes, he is. And yeah, I'm the one that cruised him in the bar that night. He wasn't even paying attention to me, you know? So until, but he remembered me when we met again, and he goes, "Oh," and then we've been together ever since. So, um, yes, he's still a very beautiful man, and I hope he feels the same way about me. And so, you know, yes, and that's a
So
beautiful.
the other question I have relative to that is, I'm guessing at some point you had to start telling people that didn't know that yes, Thaddeus has Parkinson's, etc. How do people react to that news, would you say?
Well, it's been our experience. Huh. Okay, it hasn't happened for a while. I think you know where I'm going with this. When we would go out to dinner or go to a bar or something, or particularly if we'd gone to a bar that we hadn't been there before,
Yeah.
we go in, and this is before cane and wheelchair. But, he had a little bit of a dyskinesia, whatever. And we would go up to the bar, and the bartenders would refuse to serve him. They think, oh, well, he seemed like he's had too much drink already. So,
Oh,
Cindy, you talk about someone going off. I go, first of all, moron, he's not drunk. He has Parkinson's disease. And they'd be like, oh, well, I just, because this is matter, I thought, or we
mm,
wouldn't be allowed to go inside of a bar because the bouncer would think, okay, no, he doesn't look like he's in the condition to come in because he looks like he's had enough to drink. They assume he's drunk.
sure,
Instead of asking, is there a problem or is everything okay? They just label it. And then, of course, I cuss them out. And
sure.
then we get free drinks for the rest of the night.
Oh,
Because then it's all about us because they feel so bad that they
yeah,
just made this assumption.
sure.
Instead of just asking, is everything okay? Are you, oh, they just say, oh, he looks like he's on drugs or something. So
Hmm.
that happened many times. Not so
Oh
much
gosh.
now,
Sure.
but when I tell people now, most people they kind of assume, okay, a few people they recognize the symptoms and they go, does he have Parkinson's? Because it could be something else, but it's like no. And so telling people it does not surprise them. Um, some people they just say like, oh wow, that's got to be difficult, or flight attendants or whatever. When we take flights, they first thing they ask, well, how are you both doing? How are you?
Sure.
How I'm doing as caregiver, and then they cater to us, and it's very heartwarming.
Sure. I imagine so. Um, when we look at things such as treatments, I've seen, of course, some people have done occupational therapy, clearly physical therapy, speech therapy, MAO inhibitors. In Thaddeus's case, how many of these are employed on a regular basis?
He does voice therapy. He does little voice exercises here.
Okay.
Um, he also does physical therapy. Not again, not as often.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, we're looking at other newer options that, as that his insurance will cover more of, and
Yeah.
especially during these times.
Mm.
So yeah, but we do have other options now,
I
and
get you.
we're looking into that.
Okay, I've got you. That brings up a good point, as a matter of fact. I know that obviously I've had family who has had hospitalizations and illnesses and things, and one of the biggest worries is medical bills and how much you sustain as far as that stuff goes. Has there been a significant impact financially from the medical bill standpoint? Because we'll get to the other things.
Well, some parts of it was like, okay, we can't do this. This is too much money out of
Yeah.
pocket, and so we nipped it before it got crazy.
Okay.
You know, um, what's ironic, the whole DBS surgery, a lot of it was covered through the insurance. We were both surprised about that.
Wow.
Um,
Me too.
yeah. There was still a bill, but it was taken care of. So, but more and more now, we just wanted to see what could we realize we were not using all of the different options that a lot of it we didn't even know we had or he had. Now we're investigating more and saying, oh, I didn't know you could this covered that. So, even things like getting him a wheelchair or whatever, it's like, oh, the insurance will cover oh, okay. And then
Hmm.
the next day, a new bright and shiny wheelchair gets delivered, So
Sure.
we're really taking advantage. We're really just gonna use the options that he has.
Okay, I've
Use
gotcha.
Yeah.
So if we look to on a day-to-day basis with Thaddeus, let's say, because I know, of course, people use things, as you mentioned, like the wheelchair, the canes, some have scooters, some have aids for the bathroom, etc. So in Thaddeus, question to you is, how often do you try to be independent of those, or can you be independent of those at this point?
Hmm. Uh,
Breathe and then
Gotta be independent every day.
yeah, he tries to be independent every day, and he dresses himself, and he's not allowed to use the stove, but he can use a microwave to warm up something.
Okay,
Um,
I've gotcha.
he that could be cleans the dishes, even though he forgets to wipe down the water off the counter afterwards, but still he can do that.
I get it.
Um, and
Sure.
yeah, there's a lot of just the day-to-day stuff he can do.
Okay.
Um, It's like he has a cousin that takes him because we live on Central Park West, so we're right across the street from the park, and
Yeah,
so takes him out in this wheelchair so he can get out of the chair and walk around on the grass in the park, and plus it gives me a break for about a couple of hours,
sure.
things like that.
Okay,
So
gotcha. You
yeah.
betcha. Okay, so that gives us some hindsight into that. I don't know if you folks have heard of these things, so I'm going to throw this out there because in doing my research, I found out a few things that they've been talking about. I'm not sure if anyone has mentioned tabapat, Tavapadon, tabapadon.
But I never heard of
That's
that.
so there's some studies being done by the FDA, and they're looking at actually approving this particular drug, which would help with Parkinson's patients. So I know that you see a doctor, obviously. So I'm like, have they suggested something like that? Or the high frequency focused ultrasound. I know that that's one they've been talking about using for a long time now, or at least a good while, it sounds like. Have you done those before?
Oh, oh. But we'll bring it up with this neurologist guy. Have you heard of this?
Absolutely. I can send you those things because I
Yeah,
was
please
researching
do.
this and I'm like, I know some of this has to go through very heavy scrutiny, of course, through the FDA before they'll approve anything. But it does sound like the high frequency focused ultrasound is something they're using on patients with good success. They've been doing this for a
Really?
bit now. So, yeah, because I'm always one who's looking for, okay, so you say there's no cure, but let's see all the trials because there are active trials going on, of course, for Parkinson's right now and some
Right.
technologies that they're trying to use and they're having success with this. And if nothing else, it sounds like even if it may not be a cure, like you mentioned earlier, slowing down symptoms matters. Quality of life matters. That's my next question for Thaddeus. If I were to ask you in one sentence to describe your quality of life right now, what would that look like?
Yeah, your quality of life.
I expanding, finding new ways to express pain, Parkinson's, positive.
Did you get any of that,
I
Cindy?
did not. I'm sorry.
No. Slow down.
Um,
Quality of life. That's the question.
Try to improve the quality of life every day, and create new things I haven't done before.
You could try to improve quality of life by trying new things, hopefully on a day-to-day basis. Just even if it means straightening a shelf, just things that you just take for granted,
Sure.
because, I mean, I do everything, but sometimes I just want him to just do it, just even if it's something as mundane as, getting another roll of paper towels out of the closet and putting it on the dispenser himself,
Sure.
just to say that yes, you can do this. No one's holding you back from doing it. You know what I mean?
Understood. Yeah, I do, as a
Basic
matter of
stuff.
fact.
Just basic stuff. I mean, I hate going to the grocery store, but I do it anyway because he can't really go unless, of course, is one of those grocery stores that has one of those little motor cars that people with disabilities can ride in. And then he can just see what a grocery store in the side of the store looks like because he doesn't really do stuff like that so much now because it's like I go in, I get the stuff, whatever, and that's it. But sometimes I'll be like, okay, let's just go and so you can just see what the aisles look like, just to normal everyday stuff. I try to do that, not as often as I should, but because more and more I just want to just get things done and keep going. Get the groceries, put it away, and all that.
I get
So,
it. I do.
or with helping with folding the laundry, I let him do that because just to do normal, boring stuff like that so he can just feel like, yeah, you put the socks away. I'll put that kind
Sure.
of stuff.
Normal life, like a
Yeah.
normal
Normal
person would,
life.
of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, do we experience a great deal? How are the tremors? Because I know they talk a lot about tremors.
I used to have those severely. I had the operation. Yeah, for a little while.
He doesn't get the tremors ever since the operations, only unless he's really, really like uneasy about something or upset about something, which is rare. But for the most part, because of that DBS surgery,
Yeah,
that eliminated that big time.
gotcha. Okay, I got it. Would it be fair to ask you the question? I know you mentioned about the bar, but everyday living and where you go and people you interact, do you feel that they are compassionate and caring and understand what you're going through? What is their impressions of you when they come across you both?
We have a restaurant we go to, we have our own table. I mean, they give us
Oh,
VIP treatment on the manager, the owner, the waiters, they all know the minute they see us, it's like, we're here, that kind of thing. And we didn't
sure.
ask for that. They just do that. Plus the food is good. And so no, everyone's always compassionate. They don't try to step in front of him or us. No, they're very welcoming when we take trips on trains or on a plane or whatever. It is kind of like, for lack of a better description, like VIP type treatment. And it's
That's awesome.
not like we're demanding it or
Oh,
anything. They just they sum up the visual of us and then they help.
understood.
Yeah.
I getcha. Hey, you're in New York City, so I guess I have to ask this question. If I were to ask you both, the city of New York, huge. We all know subways, ferries, buses, etc.
Mhm.
Accessibility is great for people with legs and no conditions and things like that. But do you feel the city as a whole is well kept in terms of providing resources for what we call disabled people?
Um, For the most part, now he hasn't been on a subway train in like what, 10 years? Because he doesn't really need to do that. The
Okay,
minute the wheelchair came into the factor, it's like, well, you ain't taking the train. I don't even take subways anymore, but still, it's pretty much cabs
yeah,
and Ubers, you know.
I get
Um,
it.
because the last time he was on a subway, he didn't have a cane and he didn't have a wheelchair.
Ah,
He could just go on the train and that was that. It's not like that anymore. I'm not saying that you will never, ever, ever get on a subway again. It's
yeah.
just there's no reason to.
Okay, I get
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at your relationship. Please tell me, either of you or actually both of you, what sort of impact this has had on your relationship, and are you able to still date one another? I know that sounds odd to people, but it shouldn't be.
Uh, you want me to take this?
I look for new places, experience things.
We look for new, but we do, like I said, we have a restaurant we like going to, and so we usually go like, like on a
Okay,
night. We do things like that. It's it can be strenuous. Especially in the evenings because that seems to be the when the things just kind of sort of just go haywire as far as him not being comfortable and all this other factors to the point where if I get 2 hours of sleep I'm good. anything less than that, I'm a monster, period.
I imagine.
And so, I mean, I'm a night owl anyway. I mean, I wrote my last three films between the hours of 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
But yeah, but still, when I am ready to lie down and get that 2 hours or sometimes 3 hours, I don't want to be interrupted. But more and more, that's not always the case. So a lot of times I'm sleeping on this couch right here, and he's in the
Oh,
bedroom. But the thing about this couch, you can't really see it so much. I'll send you a picture. My parents bought this couch when they first got married back in 1964.
yeah,
And, you know, so it's almost like a security blanket. I've been on this couch my whole life before I was even born. So if I'm going
yeah,
to sleep anywhere, it's going to be on this couch, this vintage avocado green 1964 sofa.
I get you. I
Oh,
get it. I
yeah.
do.
So,
Um,
yeah.
I think that, and I said this years ago, and I guess I'll ask you the same question. There are certain things that disease takes from you, and one of the things that it's really good at is taking some of the better versions of things in your life. So if I were to ask you now, and yes, I know you met and he had already had Parkinson's, are there parts of yourselves or your relationship that you miss at this point?
I miss how we used to be like, let's go to the movies, or we'll go to the flea market and walk around and just jump in a cab or subway and go there. And
Yeah,
we can't do spur of the moment things like that because we have to plan everything. We have to allow time, even for this interview. We had like, I allowed at least 2 hours just for preparation for this interview, not just, okay, we can just sit down and just do it. No, those
got it.
kind of spur of the moment stuff I can do by myself,
Sure.
but I want to allow time because it takes them longer to get ready to go someplace.
Yeah,
And I allow time for that. What I call, I always like to allow dummy time in case something dumb happens. You want to be prepared for it.
I get it. I do.
So, um, I miss that. And what do you miss? And hmm? He misses going, like I said earlier, he's an outdoor person. He misses going outside a lot more. When the weather is cooler, I don't mind going outside because any excuse to put on a fur coat. But when the weather is hot or humid, I don't like hot weather. I don't want to, but he likes going out in, the springtime and the hot sun and wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and it's like, well, that means I'm the only one that could take you outside to do that, and I don't really want. So it's always been this back and forth thing. But he does have a cousin who lives nearby who is just as much of an outdoor person as he is, so he'll offer to come and take him to the park,
Oh,
things like that. And but he misses going outside a lot. And I just wish, if we had a whole, bunch of, money, we can just hire all the people to do everything. Be like, okay, you take him out to the park, you take him to the museum. You could, we're not in, we're not in that position yet.
yet.
So
That's the operative term there is yet. And I
yeah,
hope because you're in New York City, to those that don't know, New York is to me one of the most beautiful places in the world for Christmas time. So you at least get out to see the decorations and the things that are out because it's so magical.
sometimes, but we haven't. Neither one of us have been down to Rockefeller Center, and I can't remember the last time. I mean, we'll get like a little tree in our place and all
Oh,
that kind of stuff, but
sure.
that's about the extent of it.
I get
You know,
it.
so I try to do, and then you can take this, people will take this anyway, but the holidays don't mean that much to me, but I try to make it somewhat interesting and festive for him.
Of course.
I blame done my doneness with the holidays because of all those years in retail, which working in retail
Oh,
during the holidays, you just can't wait for all this to just go away.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, but for him, I wouldn't think about getting a tree and a wreath and stuff like that if I was just by myself. I do
Sure.
it 'cause I know he would like to see the lights and watch the Christmas specials on TV and or DVD or whatever. And so I do it for him.
Of course. Um, so Robert, as you mentioned, you're the caregiver. To those that may not know, some of the items on your list, I'm sure, are medicine management and arranging medical appointments and going to them and monitoring his symptoms and watching him, of course, along with giving emotional support, physical support, managing just daily activities. And I imagine there's a slew more. So my first question to you on the caregiver side of things is how do you ensure that Robert's taking care of Robert as well?
I could say something funny like, well, so long as the world doesn't run out of vodka, I'll be okay. Um, but on a serious note, I have to steal a few moments just for myself, even if I have to go into the other room and close the door for 5 minutes just to be left alone.
Yes. Yes.
I'm an only child anyway, so I'm perfectly capable of being by myself and be content. So if I don't get at least little moments like that, like if he's napping and then I can just be left alone or
Yeah.
whatever, not talk to anybody, not see anybody, just leave me alone. If I if I can get that, that helps. It does help. If I don't get that, yes, that's when I lose my patience sometimes. I'm more than just a caregiver. I'm more than just a husband. I'm a drill
Yeah.
sergeant. I'm a coach. I'm a maid. I'm a cook. I'm a hairstylist. I'm a wardrobe person. I do all of that, and it's not like he is demanding me to do that. It's just that I'm the type that, well, if it's going to be done right, then I want to do it. Because if you do it, I'm
Ah,
going to go behind you and redo it again, and then I'll be pissed off.
ah,
So
okay.
it's a lot of hats, and I own a lot of hats, literally too. But it's just, I didn't wake up one morning and say, "Yep, this is what I'm going to be." It just happened.
Right. I get you.
Um, it's exhausting. Of course, it's exhausting. It's frustrating as hell sometimes. Sometimes I do just scream and yell and whatever, but then I have to pull back and remind myself he's not doing this on purpose. But just the fact that he's doing it still gets annoying. But at the end of the day, he's not doing it on purpose. And I have to remind myself constantly on that one. He's not doing it on purpose.
Sure.
Because when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I just stole about 10 minutes of sleep and I'm suddenly awakened because he needs something or whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why? Yeah, yeah, that kind of thing, and then I have to, oh, he's not doing it on purpose. So yeah, I mean, and there is no rule book for being a caregiver. I don't care if someone has posted some stuff up. You have to make up your own rules
Yes.
that suit
Absolutely.
you. If Joe Blow that you don't even know is doing something different in his caregiving, that same way may not work for me.
Yes.
So I make up my rules constantly. We're always adjusting things. Oh,
I
well, this
won't.
didn't work. Let's try this.
Okay. I'm wondering, outside of the sleeping hours that you had prefaced, so if we were look at day to day, how
Hmm.
much time would you say on average that you can breathe or do other things or leave the home? I just want to give people a view of specifically how much time blacked out is for yourself. And secondly, as I understand it, this can have a financial strain. So has it forced you to take on more work or do extra things to be able to compensate for all of this?
Yeah, I'm always looking for, I mean, I working for the podcast series and all that, but I'm always looking for, I was raised, always look for that next buck,
Yeah,
you know. I mean, you're only as good as your next paid gig. That's my rule. And
yeah.
so, um, obviously, I don't have the patience or the temperament to work in a day-to-day office anymore, and it just works for doing remote. I mean, we live
Yes.
in the time of you can stay at home and work on your computer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I do things like that. As far as breathing moments, usually like when I go out and run an errand, that's sort of like me because he doesn't go with me.
Okay.
And I can sort of just kind of chill, even if it's going to grocery store or to pick up a prescription of his at the pharmacist. At least I'm by myself and I can just, you know, so moments like that. There are moments when he either naps or and he finally does fall asleep, then I'm cool for about an hour, sometimes maybe a little bit longer than an hour, a lot of times less than an hour. But I grab whatever private moment I can.
Understood. If I were to ask both of you, I imagine one of the biggest challenges here is not just the physical part, but also psychologically. I imagine there can be anger, resentment, frustration, sadness, a combination of things. Have either of you seen anyone professional for this or felt you needed to?
We have mentioned it to his doctors. Sometimes they'll ask us, well, how's everything going, just, emotionally wise,
Yeah,
whatever. Um, One thing about him, and unless he's been like really holding out and not really being straight with me, which is he tells me everything,
okay,
he doesn't sit around doom and gloom. Like, oh, my life is over. I have this, he doesn't do that. He'll get frustrated because he can't open a jar of something as easy as he used to, that kind of
sure.
stuff. But he definitely is not Mr. Doom and Gloom. I haven't seen that. He's he's more optimistic than I can't even spell the word optimistic, let alone no. So, he's definitely still the optimistic one. Me, on the other hand, I'm always thinking, well, what's it going to be like a year from now? I'm always looking at, you know, not because I'm a pessimist, I'm looking at facts. I'm looking at, I'm always checking everything. But he's the one with the disease, but he sees the beauty of things more than than anyone. And that has always blown my mind. It's like if I had something like what he has, this disease, I probably would just be the most depressing, most don't want to talk to anybody, don't
Yep.
want to see anybody. I've shut the world off. Goodbye. You're never gonna. I feel like I do that. He doesn't do that. And he's had this thing for over 20 years.
That's a good Thaddeus question, actually. Please tell us how you feel about what you're hearing. I mean, you're living it with Robert, but meaning all the sacrifices and the things that your caregiver provides to you. Can you even put into words how you feel about this? How you feel about all of those choices he's making for you?
I don't, I don't think,
Breathe. And
I don't think it takes care of me.
did you hear any of that?
A little bit. Sorry.
I don't, him take care of me.
He's saying that he's honored that I would take care of him.
Uh,
And I didn't coach him to say that.
No, rough times, you get past that. So,
There are rough times to be as in any relationship with, regardless to whether one person has a disease or not. It's just a relationship. There's always going to be challenges. Um,
Yes.
you were saying, yeah.
If I were to ask you, have they given you any indication as Thaddeus ages and as time goes along, what can you expect with the progression of Parkinson's?
yeah, there's, I was saying, and my lapses into moments of speech problems.
Well, yeah, what he's saying is, it's pretty obvious, like, we know where it's headed and all that. But the thing about his team of doctors, they're always on it. They're always making adjustments to his DBS battery.
Okay.
Um, they changed his meds. I mean, our place is like Valley of the Dolls. We have so many pills and stuff.
Boy.
And so, but they'll either add more to a dosage or decrease it for a while. There's always, it's kind of hard to sort of keep up like, oh, wait, do you take three of these now or do you take two of these? I mean, because it's always, but they're always saying, okay, if this doesn't work, try this version.
Okay.
So they're always making adjustments. That's the word I was looking for. Adjustments to things all the time. So it's not like they're just sitting back and just watching things go. And every time you tell him anything, any of his team, it's okay, well, why don't we try this version? Why don't we do this? And so it's always changing. So you have to sort of stay on your toes, just keep up, but and then we say, okay, this doesn't work. Okay, well, let's try this version with the meds and
Okay.
everything.
Sure. You betcha.
But he still can uh get his meds together and put it, a little a pill container for each day or whatever. He can still
Okay.
do that. More and more, I just find myself just doing it, just to get it done, and then he'll
Yeah.
check them. I'll always give it to him, and he'll check, make sure everything is, and that's that. So
Have they mentioned to you, and this is more so for the audience, of course, does this mean that eventually speech will get harder, walking will get more difficult? Is there the worst case scenario at some point with this where things plateau?
we have heard again from his team of doctors that they're always talking about, well, you might be eligible to maybe get this one other type of thing that could help, better speech or less freezing and all that. So they're always looking at newer things too. That's how we found out about the DBS thing way back
Yeah.
when. So
Okay.
um his doctors are not just like what I said about him. They're not doom and gloom. They don't,
Nice.
they look for optimistic, different approaches to deal with this crappy disease.
Thaddeus, if I were to ask you if someone watches this interview and they're either first diagnosed or been living with Parkinson's for some time, what would your best advice be to them? Whether it's management, coping, etc., what do you want them to know from you?
The nature of the disease, reading, actually, books,
We set up
going to meetings, conference, educating yourself as possible.
educating yourself as much as possible about the
Okay.
disease.
And that's true, but as for the chest started on your own, I've been waiting for a while. Because I found an explosion of Parkinson's related articles and help guides on the web the last 10 years. Simply amazing.
He's always looking at articles on the web because there's always
Sure.
new factors, new stories, new choices.
And so look for a company. And if you're finding out, you have the same disease.
He's always looking at different companies and seeing what they have to offer. And I mean, he's always looking at articles about
I
Parkinson's.
imagine so. Absolutely. Um, my next question is looking towards the future, of course. Um, this might sound strange, but I think it's important to ask, is there anything at all positive about having this disease?
I can think of one, but can you think of something?
Michael J. Fox, positive.
He says Michael J. Fox has made it positive. I mean, he has every book the man has wrote.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And is there anything else before I say what I'm going to say? Positive.
Good. Focus. That's the word. Or a group of people get together about this.
Oh, focus. Yeah, the focus groups to, discuss the other people that can relate to.
So
That's
how people can relate.
yeah, social like focus groups that, try to support and everything. That's a positive thing.
Hmm.
For me, I like to get to board the airplanes first before everybody else.
Just plop them right in the front seat, good to go, VIP, everything.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's a small thing, but it is kind of cool that people get out of the way when, you know, they see us coming in the wheelchair and all that, and we get to
Aw,
we board the trains first, we board the planes first, and all that. So that's kind of cool, you
sure.
know. And so,
Also, was ist gut.
hmm.
Also, was ist gut.
Except sometimes there are places where all the other screaming kids are at, the
Oh
families,
Lord.
we have to
Oh
hear
Lord.
that. But that's not all the time, but just,
Enough to be annoying, I know, for
yes.
those of us that travel, of course. Um, one of the final questions that I have for you is if I were to ask you both, what can we do, those of us who don't have families or loved ones with Parkinson's, but we want to help people like yourselves? What do you think you would suggest that we do?
Contact local police, local police, faculty.
Contact a local Parkinson's group or faculty and ask questions. Um,
I know what work we can volunteer.
I the only question, well, my answer to that question, um, don't ignore him. The minute they find out, the minute some people find out he has a disease or whatever, they don't include him in things. Just because they can't hear him,
Mhm.
they just talk around him and not let him jump in. That pisses him off and that infuriates me
Sure.
because he's there. He has, yes, he's used to people saying, I'm sorry, I can't hear what you're saying. Could you please repeat that?
Yeah.
He only gets annoyed if you don't ask him that, because then he feels like he's being ignored.
Yeah.
And when few people do that, they go, well, I can't hear him, so we'll just talk about other stuff and he can just listen. Um, Not only is that rude, but it's just not right because he is there. He is a person.
Yes, he is.
Join into the conversation. Give him the chance to at least try before. Don't just cut him off. And there are a few people that sometimes do that, and he hates that. I hate it, and
Sure.
sometimes I'll call the person on it right there and go, "Don't ignore him. Don't cut him off like that."
Right.
Of course, I come off as like, the Disney villain, but I don't care because I'm doing the caregiving. So I call
Absolutely.
the shots, period. And if you don't like it,
Yes.
tough, you know. So that serious side of me again, Cindy. But you know
Of
what?
course.
I don't care because it's like I have a lot of responsibility and I don't want to screw
Yeah.
it up.
Of course. We
Doesn't
understand
exactly
that.
make me want to dance on the singing, dancing and singing all the time because I have too many serious things to think about.
Absolutely. You betcha.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to forget to ask this. So if anyone watching this today either wants to support your work, Robert, or of course on Thaddeus's side of the fence, is anything that you've done graphic design or artistically available for sale, or do you ever do shows or anything anymore with your items?
We did have a line of greeting cards, which kind of sort of fizzled out, but
Aw.
I'm trying to get not just because selling most people make their own greeting cards now. You don't when was the last time you
Yeah,
bought a greeting card?
yeah,
And so I'm trying to get him to do more graphic design stuff and sell it because when we
yeah,
did that art exhibit, people were buying and not just
yeah.
friends of ours, but strangers. So it's like, you know, he needs to do more stuff like that.
Yes.
It's just me, I haven't really done that much drawing lately because I'm just focusing on film, but I
Right.
haven't ruled it out. It's just my creativity is just in another direction right now. But I also tell him that he could teach piano lessons.
Yeah.
Even if it's over Zoom, he doesn't have to be there next to the student. Just
Right.
have, the student at their piano, he's at his piano, say, okay, play da 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 da, whatever. And music is his love more than anything else, you know. And so I mean, he went to Yale for God's sakes for music. So, hello.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's like
Yeah,
he's a composer. You know, he has composed beautiful music. Like I said, he still plays the piano and everything. Um, I know that's his first love, and I just don't want him to give it up.
absolutely. Without a
So,
doubt. That's why I figured I'd ask that question, of course. Any festival screenings anywhere soon for you?
uh,
November?
just a couple of, well, my newest film, Boom, it's already been in a couple of
I
screenings and
saw that.
won
Yep.
a couple of awards already, and it's just still
Hmm.
fresh out the gate. But but yeah, just some other ones coming up, and looking forward to that. And I hope if all goes well, I'll be shooting my next little mini epic sometime in the new year.
Very nice. Very, very nice. So, this is what I'd like to say to both of you. First off, again, I meant it when I said it's a true honor to speak to two people. First of all, because I know what it's like to be a caregiver, but second of all, just to see how much a couple can respect and admire and love one another in difficult circumstances. And I think that's important right now in our society to show that that's possible. Number two, you wake up every day with a sense of determination and drive, and you don't give up on one another. That's huge nowadays. It should have been before, but even more so now. Number three, you are not defined by the term Parkinson's disease or disability. That is huge. In my world, in my realm, every day, I'm so lucky to meet so many different people when I do these interviews. It is not every day that I meet heroes. To me, the definition of a hero is just that, someone that gets up and saves one another every day. You're saving each other and you're inspiring all the rest of us. And I couldn't be happier to have done this. So thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you very much.